Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Parama Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Good day, viewers. Today we will try to understand some of the principles of life as per the Mahabharata, so that it will enable us to live in a more peaceful and in a more contented manner. Man, as you know, including women, most of us are unhappy for one or the other reason, and when we look back on our lives, we feel that we shouldn't have taken some decisions, and we also feel we should have taken some decisions, because some of the decisions which we took or which we did not take have determined where we are today. Having said that, it makes enormous sense for us to spend the next part of our life, or the balance part of our life, in a happy, peaceful, successful manner. Success in the sense, whatever it could be. It could be your happiness, it could be your contentment, or it could be your earning capacity, it could be your career, education, or whatever it is. But man and women or human beings in general, we tend to have so many difficulties. But as per the Puranas, or as per the Mahabharata to be specific, there are certain rules or certain ways or certain principles which, if we follow in our lives, we will be at peace within ourselves. We will achieve what we want. We will understand the reality of things, or rather, we will understand the unreality of the things. In this context, today I will be talking about what King Yayati of Chandravamsha dynasty says or discusses about the seven principles of life. Just to take a step backward, we need to understand that King Yayati, as I said a couple of minutes ago, was a very famous king of Chandravamsha dynasty, and having ruled the kingdom very effectively, being a dharmic king, he finally, when his time on the earth ended, it is said, due to his punya or due to his good deeds, he ascended to the heavens in the physical form itself. When he went to the heavens, he met the king of gods, Indra. Indra was curious to know how Yayati, a human being, acquired so much of punya that he could ascend to the heaven in the physical forms, and he began inquiring with King Yayati ways to rule the kingdom, and what exactly did he learn in the kingdom, and what exactly he did to his subjects, and how did he administer the kingdom so effectively that everybody was happy. While the discussion was happening on various subjects, Indra noticed that King Yayati still had a lot of ego and arrogance. In order to teach King Yayati a lesson, Indra, the king of gods, pushed this King Yayati away from the heaven. So Yayati began to fall from the heavens, and immediately Yayati realized his folly, and he requested Indra, "Oh, king of gods, let me fall on the earth amongst good people, amongst noble people, instead of me falling in an ocean or in a forest with wild beasts, or in a place which is ruled by wicked, ignoble, cruel people. Let me fall or land in a place where good people and noble souls are there." Indra said, "So be it." And accordingly, Yayati began to fall from the heaven. It so happened that four brothers, who were all kings, happened to be in that area where Yayati was about to fall. Having noticed that such a kingly appearance person was falling from the heavens, the first among the brothers, that is Ashtaka, called out to the King Yayati, and he says, "O noble soul, why are you falling from the heavens?" For which King Yayati replies, "Yes, I am falling from the heaven because I continue to have lot of ego and lot of arrogance. Though I have done lot many good deeds on the earth when I was the king, because I was arrogant, because my ego was not under control, I have been pushed by Indra to fall into this land. Ashtaka sees this king in the midair, and he says, uh, if you have ascended to the heavens in the physical form, obviously you have acquired a lot many good deeds. You have acquired a lot of punya. Otherwise, normally a person in physical form cannot ascend the heaven. Since you have ascended the heaven, that itself means you have earned a lot of punya. So, please tell us, please tell all the four of us, how did you rule the kingdom, and how did you acquire such greatness, or how did you acquire such punya? And a conversation goes on between this king on the earth and King Yayati. We will touch upon what King Yayati told Ashtaka and his three brothers about the seven principles of life. The first principle he says is every person should do tapas. What is tapas? Tapas not only means meditation, concentration, and contemplation of God, but it also means following various rituals, particularly what is known as vrata. You must have possibly heard about Ekadashi vrata, Chaturmasya vrata, then Vishnu Panchaka, Bhishma Panchaka. These are all different vratas where importance is given to fasting. Why fasting is given such an importance in our scriptures is fasting hones the willpower of a person. And not only that, it activates the brain to a very large extent. A contented man or a person who has hogged a lot of stale food, a lot of leftover foods, a lot of oily, processed, packed foods, his brain will be grosser than a person who eats fresh fruits and vegetables, and also consumes less food than required. This, it is said, sharpens the brain, activates the brain cells more than a person who is always hogging. Indian Ayurveda system, 2000 years back itself, they had classified these foods in three ways. That is, the food being sattvic or rajasic or tamasic. So, a person who is doing the tapas, a person who is doing the rituals, it was always recommended that he consume only the sattvic food. The second principle, as told by Yayati, was about dana. Dana in the sense donate. We should donate. We need to understand clearly, donate or donation does not mean only money. Donation means it could be in cash, it could be in kind, or it could be in service. A person who has money can donate, but what about a person who does not have money? So it is said in the scriptures, a person who does not have money, but if he has knowledge, he can spread that knowledge. That itself is dana. Spreading the knowledge itself is dana. A person who does not have money, a person who does not have knowledge, but he is physically strong, then he can help somebody when a person is in need. He can physically help somebody. He can physically do certain services. We all have seen in various mutts and temples and in langars where people go and serve in various forms, like cutting the vegetables or controlling the queues or polishing the shoes. So many activities can be done by way of physical strain. The third principle which Ayati says is about having faith, having hope in life, and also in our scriptures, in our belief, and in our gods. Whatever it may be, man left to himself without any hope or without any faith will be an extremely troubled person, he will be unable to face the difficulties of life, which bombards him every day, every minute, or every second. But a person who has faith, faith in the God, faith in the traditions, faith in the scriptures, he will be able to call upon those precepts and continue the life despite problems. So even in the Christian world, they say faith can move mountains. Similarly, in the Hindu philosophy or in our scriptures, it is said a person, unless he has faith, unless he has hope, he will not advance in his life. So this is the third principle as enunciated by King Yayati. The fourth principle which Yayati says is each person should have self-control over the senses. What is this self-control? He says that senses are there for us to understand the reality, or more philosophically speaking, the unreality of the things around us. Because the concept of Maya comes into picture here, senses are there which will divert us from concentrating on the Godhead. Say, for example, the sense of touch is only there for procreation of children, nothing more than that. Similarly, man has got the five senses which should be used in moderation. Anything excess anything excess will make him unhappy in one or the other way. It will lead him to acquire and cultivate so many addictions and vices, which will put him away from the path of dharma. So we should be able to control the senses rather than the senses controlling us. So the next principle which Yayati talks is about uniformity in thought, talk, and action. What is this uniformity? He simply, to put it simply, it is what I think privately, or what I think in my mind should be the same thing what I talk outside. It is not that I should think something in the mind and tell something outside for public to hear, or for our friends or relations or anybody to hear. What my thinking in private, what I think in my mind, should be what I talk. And what I talk should be what I do. So these three things should be in unison. However, in the so called modern culture, this is missing, because we put on false smiles, we give false assurances. Even though we do not like a person, we will smile at them, we will invite them. Our head is thinking something, or our private thoughts are different, but we talk something different. This should not be there, because whatever you think, as long as you are on the path of dharma, as long as you do not contravene any law, and as long as it is not cheating, and as long as you don't tell lies, you are at liberty to say and do whatever you want. Follow these four principles about the dharma, about the law of the land, about not cheating anybody, and finally not lying to anyone. If you cross these four tests, you do whatever you want. And that is how it should be. We should not think one thing in the mind and do something just to please someone. That is wrong. Whatever thoughts come to the mind, you say that, if it passes these four tests. Otherwise, we are not peace within ourselves. Our soul will struggle because of all these confusions. We need not please anybody. These are all the modern day, so-called modern day culture, where we are not judging people, where we do not want to judge people, where we put up a false smile, where we give false assurances. No, this is not needed as per our scriptures. Be bold and say what you want to do. think bold, act bold, and do whatever you want. As long as those things pass this test. So Yayati says this is another principle which will make a man live in peace in the society and within himself. He will be true to himself. He will be true to his conscience when our thought, talk, and action are in unison. The next thing, or the sixth principle, which Yayati says is he says one should be shy of certain things, or to put it in a slightly different manner, one should be ashamed when we do not follow the path of dharma, when we do not live the way as enunciated by our dharma, the dharmic principles. We should not be ashamed. Rather, we should be ashamed that we are not following our scriptures. We are not doing our vratas. We are not doing our ekadashi. We are not doing our chaturmasya. We should be ashamed of that. And to put it in one more way, we should be proud when we are following our dharma. We should be proud of the way of living or the way of thinking which is enunciated in our scriptures. I was recently having a discussion with my family priest, and he told me this, which is very relevant. He says that as per my dharma, that is, as being a Brahmin, I am proud of wearing this dress. I am proud of having this shikha. I am proud of putting all these namas. This is what Yayati means. If you are not doing this, you should be ashamed of that. That is the meaning that is conveyed. And the final principle, or the seventh principle, which he says is having compassion. What is compassion? Nothing summarizes this better than our Sanskrit phrase, which says samasta loko sukhino bhavantu, meaning let all living beings be happy and blessed. It is a step higher than the other usage of the phrase sarve jano sukhino bhavantu, where we are targeting only humans. No, samasta loko sukhino bhavantu, let all livings be blessed, let all livings be happy. This is a peaceful coexistence amongst all the living beings, whether it is humans, whether it is a bird, whether it is an animal, whether it is an insect, whether it is a plant or a tree. All living beings should live in peaceful coexistence. This is what is called as a food chain. You disturb the food chain, somewhere something happens, and ultimately everybody has to suffer. All living beings have to suffer. So these are the seven principles which Yayati says to Ashtaka and his brothers. After having heard all these things, Ashtaka and his brother say, "O great king, you have practiced dharma, you know dharma, and you have taught us dharma during this brief conversation. We do not want, as brothers, we do not want you to fall from the heaven. You are in mid-air. With your knowledge, do you think we four will go to the heavens? Because we assume that we have also done some good deeds." For which Yayati says, yes, all the four you people have earned a lot of punya and you will ascend to the heavens. For which these four brothers will say, then we are sacrificing that punya, we are transferring that punya, or we will give that punya to you because you are such a noble soul. You please go back to the heavens with the punya which we are giving or we are transferring. Yayati says, no, I was a Kshatriya king, and Kshatriyas know only to give, not to take. It is only the Brahmins who knows to give and also to take. But Kshatriya dharma is only to give, not to take. So I cannot take the punya which you have earned through your good deeds and you being some kings who are ruling the kingdom. No, I cannot take it. At this moment, a saintly lady comes, her name being Madhvi, and incidentally, she is the mother of these four princes or four kings. And as soon as she comes, she is surprised and wonderstruck seeing this Yayati up in the air. And as soon as she sees, she prostrates herself to Yayati and says, "Oh father, how come you are standing in the mid-air? How come you are falling from the heavens?" And when she says that, these four young kings will be surprised. "Oh mother, you are calling him as your father. Who is he actually?" At that time, that saintly lady whose name is Madhvi, she says, "Oh my sons, this is none other than your grandfather. He is my father. He is known as the King Yayati. He ruled the kingdom for very many years, very ably, and he has ascended the heavens. And now, as I see, he is hanging in the mid-air." After coming to know the reason why Yayati was in the mid-air, Madhvi says, "My sons are willing to transfer all their punya to you. So, oh father, why don't you go back to the heaven?" Yayati, after hearing the words from Madhvi, that is his daughter, he feels so happy that he had the conversations so far with none other than his own grandsons. And as per the dharma, punya can be transferred from father to son, son to father, and things like that. So he says, "Now that you are none other than my grandsons, I am willing to take the punya which you are offering me." At this point, it is said five chariots in the heaven appeared, and these four kings will ask Yayati, "What are the five chariots for?" For which Yayati says, "See, the very fact of you willingly wanting to give your punya to me has earned you a place in the heaven. That is why the chariots have come." But what about the fifth chariot? Yayati replies for that also. He says, "The very fact that even though you offered your punya, I refused. Thereby, I also earned so much of punya because by refusing to take your punya, because I did not know you were my grandsons." That is why the fifth chariot appears. And Madhvi says that, "Oh father, please go back to the heavens, and because your daughter's sons, that is my sons, are sending you to the heavens." At this point, Yayati tells these four young sons of Madhvi, or his grandsons, who were the kings ruling in that area. See, all along, I have told you about the seven principles of life. Now, as long as we are on the earth, these principles needs to be followed. But once a death happens, there are certain rules or important things to know, so that the person's afterlife, that is after his death also, he will be at peace and he will be happy. For that, Yayati says there are three important things while doing shraddhas or death rituals. One is the presence of Dauhitra. Who is Dauhitra? Dauhitra is the deceased persons for whom the shraddha is being done. His daughter's son. Just the way Yayati's daughter is Madhvi and Madhvi's sons are these four kings. The very presence of a Dauhitra, or the very presence of a daughter's son during the death ritual, is said to have enormous beneficial effects on the departed soul, so that he will ascend the higher realms of heaven, or he will attain salvation. So one should ensure, if a Dauhitra is available, if a daughter son is available, he needs to come and sit and do the namaskaras or do the prayers that are called for while doing the Shraddha. This is very important. This is one of the ways a human soul can attain salvation, Yayati says. The next thing is timing of doing the Shraddha. What is this timing? We do Shraddhas of our Pitrus because in the morning, because we have to go to office, we have to attend to our businesses. So we pay some amount in some mutt or some temples, and early morning 7 o'clock 8 o'clock we go and do the Shraddha. This is very wrong as per the scriptures, because the first few hours till 12 o'clock, the muhurta or the time is reserved for invoking gods and doing auspicious things. A Shraddha cannot be done during that time. As per our scriptures, there are certain muhurtas where you can invoke and call and please certain elements. For example, early morning to 12 o'clock, it is said that is an auspicious time for invoking gods, for doing Mangala Karyas, for doing all good things like Homa, Havana, and things like that. Suppose if you want to call the dark forces of the earth, dark elements of the earth, then you have to do midnight. You can't what is known as black magic. A black magic cannot be done at 8 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning. No. Dark forces or the dark elements are very active and very powerful only in the midnight. So to appropriate them, to call them, you have to do the concerned mantras or homas or sacrifices during the dead of the night, say 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and midnight. Similarly, for doing shraddhas or for doing death rituals, it has to be done after 12 noon, it is said. When the sun is overhead, that is where the Pitrus can be easily be reached and be pleased easily. You can't do the shraddha early in the morning at 6 or 7. No, it is wrong. You have to do only after 12 noon. This is what the scripture says. What we do is different. But if the Pitrus have to be pleased, it has to be done after 12, say 12, 1, 2, something around that period. So Yayati says, so much so, even if you don't have a Purohit to do that Shraddha in the afternoon, still during that time, if you feed a cow or if you feed a crow, the Pitrus are said to be satisfied, because timing is more important than the procedure here. What are we doing? We are all doing it in the morning, happily going and sitting, doing our businesses and doing our office work or our engagements, whatever it is. Pitrus are not pleased. Maybe that may be the reason why we are seeing so much of troubles in our lives. So anyway, Yayati says it has to be done in the afternoon. And he also says one more thing. During the time, if you don't have the necessary purohit or the necessary items to do the shraddha, you can just go to a forest, stretch out your hands and shout, "O Pitrus, I am unable to please you today because I don't have anything. My circumstances are not allowing me. Please bless me." Even if you say during that time, that is again after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, if you say that, it is said, even though you don't do the pinda pradana, or you don't give the rice ball offering, you don't use the services of a purohit, still shouting out in the forest and besieging your forefathers will earn you more punya, and forefathers are pleased and they will bless you and your family, it is said. And the third most important thing as far as Shraddha is concerned, as said by Yayati, is usage of till. That is, till is a small grain, yellow, we call in Kannada as yellow, black till. And it is said till is extremely auspicious item for doing shraddhas, because it is believed till originated from the sweat of Lord Vishnu himself. It is a general belief or misunderstanding that people treat till or yellow as inauspicious. No, it is extremely auspicious. I am told that in certain parts of the South India, that during this Pongal or Shankranti, people refuse to receive this till when it is being offered, when guests have come to the house. It is so auspicious, it is said that when a person dies, the dead body, as per the scriptures, have to be laid down on a place where a grass is spread or the darba is spread, and till or yellow is sprinkled all over. It is said that till will keep away the dark forces which are trying to enter the dead body and take control of the soul. What are the dark forces? It is said that on the eight directions, there are eight ruled by eight evil forces which will try to take away the soul of the dead body. That is why when till is spread on that, it acts as a counter magnet. The evil forces will not come near the dead body. For the sake of information, these eight directions are ruled by Bhuta, Preta, Pishachi, Shakini, Dakini, Yakshini, Putana, and Mahamari. So when you spread till, these evil forces cannot take control over the soul of the dead body. After having said this, Yayati says one more thing. He says a person who is doing Shraddha should maintain utmost cleanliness. Utmost cleanliness is needed apart from the Shraddha rituals being done in a even-paced manner. In the even-paced manner, in the sense, it should not be done in a hurry-burry. Things have to go in a smooth manner. That apart, the third most important thing which Yayati says while doing a Shraddha is we should not lose control, self-control, meaning we should not get angry. So he says, when you are doing Shraddha, maintain the place, sanctify the place, make it clean, let cleanliness be the order of the time or the place, and do not lose your temper, whatever be the thing. And finally, do it in a even paced manner, in a slow and steady manner. It should not be done in a hurry burry. Why is it so? It is simple. Even for a small function where our hosts are humans, we take so much of care, like keeping the premises clean and inviting them with a smiling face, and then the program being out carried in a very leisurely manner. When such is the case, when humans are hosts, then think of how much cleanliness should be there, how smilingly we have to invite the gods, because in a Shraddha, gods are invited and made, the Vishwa Devatas are made to sit in the east direction, and the Pitru Devatas are invited and made to sit in the south direction. Shraddha is nothing but that. You invite the Vishwa Devatas, that is gods, at one place. You invite the Pitru Devatas at one place, and you serve them. You ask them to partake whatever we are offering them. So when we take so much care to prepare 30 types or 40 types of food for humans, just imagine what should be the devotion and the level of concentration when we are serving the gods and our Pitrus. So this is very important. We should not miss this, because ensuring that the gods or the Pitrus are satisfied will ensure that our lives are better in our afterlife. That is, after our death. We will be benefited because our children or grandchildren will be doing such way. Since we are doing, our forefathers are happy. So this is what Yayati says. And having said this, he ascends to the heaven. So here, what we learned from Yayati's statement was twofold. One is 7 principles which he enunciated, which if we follow diligently, we will lead a happy life here. Whatever life we have led, whatever mistakes we have made in our earlier time, 10 years back, 5 years back, we can ignore those. Today, having known these principles of what Yayati enunciated, our idea should be to follow. And today, when Yayati has said and given the principles of how to do a Shraddha, when to do a Shraddha, and the importance that is attached to it, it is best we follow for our own good, and for the good of our families, and for the good of our forefathers. I hope this talk has been enlightening, and it has given you some message. I have tried to cull this information majorly from Mahabharata and in a small way from Puranas, and encapsulate it in a presentable manner. Thanks for hearing me out till now. Have a good day. Bye.